Adaolisa slammed the pantry door and turned the key. She had counted. 3 jars of imported tomato paste, gone. 2 bottles of olive oil, gone. The Turkish honey Obiechina bought her for her birthday, the one she had been rationing since January, gone. She stood in the kitchen with the key pressed into her palm until the metal teeth left a mark on her skin, and she breathed. She was done asking nicely. Nedima came around the corner, eating an orange, peeling it with her teeth like she owned the floor she walked on. She stopped when she saw the padlock. Her eyes traveled from the pantry to Adaolisa's face. "Is that a lock?" Nedima asked. "It is," Adaolisa said. "On the kitchen pantry?" "On my pantry, yes." Nedima laughed, the kind of laugh that was meant to belittle. "Adaolisa, this is my brother's house. You cannot be locking food from family." She bit into the orange and let the juice run down her wrist without wiping it. Adaolisa looked at her. "When you bought something in this house, let me know. Then we will talk about what belongs to family." Before Nedima could respond, Ngbochume appeared in the hallway. The woman had a presence that entered a room before she did. Loud rapper, louder opinions, and a permanent expression that suggested the world owed her comfort. She had arrived 3 weeks ago with 4 bags and the energy of someone who intended to stay forever. "What is happening here?" Ngbochume demanded. Nedima pointed at the padlock. "Mama, look what your wife put on the pantry. She's locking food." Ngbochume's eyes went wide. She turned to Adaolisa slowly, as if giving her a chance to take it back. "You locked the food?" "I locked my things, ma." "Your things?" Ngbochume stepped forward. "Everything in this house belongs to my son. You are the wife. You manage what he provides. You do not lock anything in this house. Not from me, not from your husband's sister, not from anyone." She said it like it was written in scripture. Adaolisa tucked the key into her dress pocket and walked away. If you are watching this for the first time, subscribe right now and turn on the bell because this story is going to shake you. Now let's go back. 4 months earlier, Obiechina had carried Adaolisa over the threshold of the Lagos mansion, and she had laughed so hard she almost fell from his arms. The compound was gated, the ceilings were high, the floors were the kind of marble that made your footsteps sound important. He had kissed her in the doorway, long, slow, the kind of kiss that made her forget what year it was. His hands were on her face, and she pulled him closer, and they stayed there in that doorway until the gateman coughed from outside. "Our house," Obi had said against her lips. "Our house," she had repeated. But she was the one who had paid for it. Not half, not most, all of it. Her business, her savings, her name on the title deed at the land registry. Obiechina's salary had covered the generator and the curtains, and he was so proud of that contribution that she did not have the heart to explain what the cuttings cost compared to the building. She loved him. She wanted him to feel it too. So she let him celebrate. She let him call it ours. She smiled when he took photos in the compound and sent them to his family WhatsApp group. She said nothing. That was her first mistake. The second mistake was thinking love would protect her. The morning Ngbochume arrived, Adaolisa had prepared the guest room herself. Fresh sheets, a new fan, bottled water on the bedside table. She had even put a small flower vase by the window because Obi had said his mother liked color. When the Sienna bus honked at the gate, Adaolisa went outside to welcome her with both hands extended. Ngbochume stepped down, looked at the building from bottom to top, and said, "My son has done well. Not you both, not your home is beautiful. My son." Nedima came out behind her, sunglasses on, rolling a suitcase that looked like it contained a second life. 2 cousins followed, then an auntie Adaolisa had never heard of, then a woman carrying a cooler of smoked fish. Adaolisa kept her smile in place. "Welcome everyone, come in, come in." Obiechina hugged his mother for a long time. He was so happy, he looked like a boy again. Adaolisa watched him, and her heart softened involuntarily. This was why she had done it. This was why she had stretched herself financially until the elastic nearly snapped. Because seeing him like this, full and proud and warm, made something in her chest ache with love. She just did not know then that the people he let in would make that love very difficult to hold. By the second week, the household had shifted in a way Adaolisa could feel in her bones. The kitchen was always occupied. The living room television was always on full volume. Nedima had moved from the guest room into the larger room beside the master without asking, and the pantry was being treated like a communal market. Adaolisa tracked it quietly. She was a businesswoman. Numbers were her language. She opened her phone one evening and began adding it up. Groceries, toiletries, gas, the extra electricity units, the catfish Nedima had requested for pepper soup, the bottles of malt Mbochu made drank 3 times a day. By the time she reached the bottom of the list, the figure was sitting above 400,000 naira for the month. Obiechina's contribution to the house, 50,000 naira. She put her phone down and looked at the ceiling for a long time. That night, she turned to him in the dark. Obi, we need to talk about the household expenses. He turned over slowly. What about them? I am spending over 400,000 naira a month. You give me 50. He was quiet. I am not complaining, she said carefully. I am saying we need to reorganize. Maybe your mother and the Nedima can contribute something, or we limit. Obietina, his voice had shifted. Adaolisa, these are my people. I will not put a price on feeding my family. I am not putting a price on anyone. I am telling you that I am carrying this alone and I need help. You are my wife. This is what wives do. She stared at the ceiling. The ceiling stared back. She did not say another word that night.
Nedima had a man in the living room. Adaolisa walked in from work at 6:30, her laptop bag on one shoulder, her heels still on, and there he was. A man she had never seen before, sitting on her cream sofa with his shoes on the rug, a plate of her food on the center table in front of him, laughing at something Nedima had said with the ease of someone who had been coming here for years. Nedima was beside him, her legs curled under her head tilted back in laughter. Adaolisa stood in the doorway. The man noticed her first. He straightened up slightly. Nedima turned and saw her and did not flinch. Adaolisa, this is Emeka, a friend. Adaolisa set her bag down on the floor very slowly. Good evening, she said to the man. Then she looked at Nedima. Can I see you in the kitchen? It was not a question. In the kitchen, Nedima leaned against the counter with her arms folded like she was the one who had been inconvenienced. What is the problem now? I brought a man I do not know into my home without telling me. I live here. You are a guest here. There is a difference. Nedima's eyes narrowed. My brother owns this house. I have every right to bring whoever I want. Adaolisa looked at her for a long moment. Ask him to leave tonight, and from now on, if you want to receive visitors in this house, you will inform me first. Nedima laughed again, that same hollow laugh. Inform you? You are not my mother. No, Adaolisa said. I am the woman's house you are sleeping in for free. Ask him to leave. Obiechina heard about it before Adaolisa could tell him herself. Mbochume had gotten there first. He came to find Adaolisa in the bedroom with his voice already tightened. Why did you embarrass my sister in front of her guest? Adaolisa was removing her earrings at the mirror. She looked at his reflection. I asked an unknown man to leave my living room. That is not embarrassment. That is boundaries. She is my sister, Adaolisa. She's not a tenant. She does not need your permission to breathe in this house. She needed my permission to use my kitchen to cook for a man I have never met. She did not ask. You are being difficult. She turned from the mirror to face him directly. Obiechina, a strange man was eating food I bought on a sofa I paid for in a house I own. What exactly would you like me to have done? He opened his mouth, closed it. Then, you always bring it back to money. Because money is what is keeping this house standing. He walked out. She turned back to the mirror. Her reflection looked tired. The wigs disappeared on a Thursday. Adaolisa opened her wardrobe, and the shelf where she kept her 2 best pieces was bare. She checked behind the boxes. She checked the bathroom. She stood in the middle of the room knowing exactly where they were and feeling something cold move through her chest. She found Nedima getting ready to go out, dressed up, perfumed, and wearing the dark brown lace wig that had cost Adaolisa 180,000 naira. "Take it off," Adaolisa said from the doorway. Nedima looked up. "I was going to return it." "Take it off." "It is just a wig, Adaolisa." "Ah, you act like you took my kidney." "The 2 of them together cost over 1 million naira. 1 million naira that you did not ask about, did not request, did not tell me you are touching." Adaolisa's voice was steady, but her hands were not. "Take it off and put it back where you found it." Nedima removed it slowly, making a show of her irritation, dropping it on the dressing table like it was nothing. Adaolisa picked it up, looked at it, and walked back to her room. She sat on the edge of the bed. She was not going to cry. She refused to cry over a wig in her own house. But it was not really about the wig, and she knew it. She cooked that Saturday to prove something to no one in particular. Mbochiome had made a comment at breakfast. Casual, deliberate, the way women like her weaponized their words, about how a real wife kept her husband fed and her home warm, and how some women were too busy chasing career to remember what a kitchen was for. She had said it to the ceiling, but everyone in the room knew who it was for. So, Adaolisa went to the market. She bought 3 catfish, 8,000 naira each. She bought uziza leaves and fresh pepper and palm oil, and she stood in that kitchen for 3 hours, and she made a pot of soup that smelled like effort and dignity. She set the table herself. She called everyone to eat. Mbochiome ate 2 full plates, and a third she claimed was small. She did not say a word to Adaolisa. Not thank you, not well done, nothing. She wiped her hands and asked Enedima if there was cold malt in the fridge. Obiechina squeezed Adaolisa's hand under the table. He whispered it was perfect. She smiled at him. She still loved him. That was the most complicated part of all of this. Like this video if you are feeling Adaolisa's pain right now, because what happens next is going to make your jaw drop. Mbochiome called a family meeting on a Sunday evening. She said it was for prayers. She had been saying that a lot lately. Let us pray together. Let us call on God over this family. Let us cover this house with the blood. Adaolisa sat beside Obiechina on the sofa and held her hands together in her lap and bowed her head when the praying started. Then the praying stopped, and Mbochiome said, "I want to introduce someone to this family." Adaolisa opened her eyes. A girl stepped out from the hallway. She was young, very young, with a wrapper tied to her chest and her eyes on the floor. She was pretty in a soft, uncertain way, like someone who had been told to be small and had practiced it. She stood in the middle of the living room and folded her hands in front of her. Mbochiome said, "Ulomaka, God has been speaking to me. My son needs a woman in this home who is fully available, a woman who will be here when he needs comfort, who will not be too tired, who will give this family children and peace." She looked directly at Adaolisa when she said the last word. "I have prayed. I have consulted. Ulomaka will be Obiechina's second wife." The room was completely silent. Adaolisa turned to look at Obiechina. He was looking at the floor. "Obi," she said. Her voice was very quiet. "Look at me." He looked up. "Did you know about this?" He exhaled through his nose. "Mama means well. Did you know?" He said nothing, which was its own answer. Adaolisa stood up. She looked at Ulomaka. The girl had not moved, was still staring at the floor. And in another life, Adaolisa might have felt sorry for her because she was clearly just a tool in someone else's hand. Then she looked at Mbochiome, then at Nedima, who was watching from the corner with her arms folded, waiting to see what Adaolisa would do. Then she walked upstairs without a word. She sat in the dark for a long time. She thought about the doorway 4 months ago,
Obiechina's hands on her face. Our house, the way she had believed him completely. She thought about the title deed in the folder at the bottom of her wardrobe. She had thought she understood that then. She understood it differently now. She picked up her phone. She made 2 calls. The first was to her lawyer. The second was to a property developer who had been calling her about the area for months. When she came back downstairs, her face was different. Not angry, not broken. Something had settled in her eyes that had not been there before, the way a storm looks right before it organizes itself into something that cannot be ignored. She sat down across from Obiechina, who was alone in the living room now. Mbochiome and Inedema had retreated. Ulomaka had been taken to the guest room. "I need to ask you something," Adaolisa said. "Obiechina, answer me one question. Whose house is this?" He frowned. "We are married. Whose name is on the title deed, Obiechina?" Silence. Whose savings paid the deposit? Whose account the bank deducted from every month for 14 months? Whose signature is at the land registry? He looked at her. "Where are you going with this?" She stood up slowly. "To bed. But tomorrow morning, I need you to be downstairs by 8. There is something I want to show everyone." She walked back upstairs. Behind her, Obiechina sat alone in the big empty quiet of a house he thought was his.
She was already dressed when Obiechina woke up. He found her at the dining table at 7:45 with a folder in front of her and a cup of tea she had not touched. She was not on her phone. She was not doing anything. She was just sitting there with the stillness of someone who had already made every decision they needed to make and was simply waiting for the rest of the world to catch up. "Obialosa," he sat across from her. "Can we talk before everyone comes down?" "We can talk now," she said, "or we can talk when they are here. Either way, the conversation ends the same." He reached across the table and covered her hand with his. "I am sorry about last night. My mother, she does not think sometimes before she acts. I will talk to her. Ulomaka will go back, I promise you." Obialosa looked at his hand on hers. She remembered when that hand was all she needed to feel safe. She turned her palm up slowly and laced her fingers through his and looked at him with something that was not quite anger and not quite love, but lived somewhere painfully between the two. "Obi," she said softly, "when I was building this house, I used to call you from the site and describe what each room would look like. Do you remember?" He nodded. "I told you the master bedroom would face east, so the morning light would come in first thing. I told you the kitchen would have an island because I wanted us to cook together on Sundays. I planned every corner of this place with you in my mind." Her voice was steady. "And then your family came in and treated it like a hotel. And you watched. You watched them take from me and you said nothing. You watched your mother insult me at my own table and you said nothing. You watched your sister walk around in my things and you said nothing. And then she brought a girl into my living room to replace me. And you looked at the floor." His jaw tightened. "I was not going to let that happen." "You already let it happen, Obiechina. The moment you said nothing, you let it happen." He pulled his hand back slowly. Footsteps on the stairs. Mbokwime came down first in her house wrapper, Nedima behind her, and Ulomaka last, quiet as a shadow, sitting at the far end of the table where nobody had directed her. Mbokwime looked at the folder. "What is this? Are we signing papers this morning?" "Yes," Obialosa said. She opened the folder. She placed the title deed in the center of the table. Mbokwime picked it up. Her eyes moved across it slowly. Then she put it down and looked at Obialosa with an expression that was trying very hard to be dismissive. "What is this supposed to mean?" "It means the house belongs to me. My name, my purchase, my property.
You are a married woman. Whatever you own belongs to the family. That is not what the law says, ma. I am not talking about law. I am talking about what is right. Obialosa leaned forward. You came into my house and ate my food and used my things and said nothing was mine. You brought a girl here to sleep under my roof and take my husband and called it God's will. You told me I was a guest in my own home. She tapped the deed. So I am showing you whose home it actually is. Not to fight, just so we are all clear. Nedima slapped the table. Obialosa, this is wickedness, pure wickedness. After everything my brother has done for you. Name one thing, Obialosa turned to her calmly. Name one thing your brother has done for this house. One bill he paid, one installment, one receipt with his name on it. Take your time. Nedima opened her mouth and closed it. Obichina walked from the table and went to the window. His back was to all of them. His shoulders were carrying something heavy and visible. Mbokwime's voice dropped dangerously low. You want to use paper to divide a family. You want to use money to humiliate my son in his own... He has no house, ma. Obialosa said it without cruelty, which made it worse. And that is the truth, and I am sorry it hurts. But I will not sit here and be told I own nothing in a place I built from the ground. She made the call at 9 o'clock. By 10:15, a moving truck was reversing through the compound gate. Mbokwime came out of the house screaming, "What is this? What is happening? Obichina, come and see what your wife is doing." The workers moved with efficiency of people being paid well and asked no questions. The cream sofas went first, then the dining set, then the appliances, the imported refrigerator, the chest freezer, the washing machine. Obialosa stood in the compound directing everything with a clipboard, her voice level, her instructions precise. Nedima grabbed her arm. "You cannot do this. You cannot just remove everything." Adaolisa looked down at the hand on her arm and back up at Nedima's face. "Remove your hand from me." Something in Adaolisa's eyes made Nedima step back. "I am not removing your personal belongings," Adaolisa said to the compound at large. "Your clothes, your bags, whatever you brought into this house, I am not touching. But everything I bought lives with me. You are welcome to the structure. I was told it belongs to the man of the house." She looked at Obiechina, who had appeared in the doorway. "He can furnish it however he likes." Mbochume sat down in the middle of the compound and began to wail. "God punish you! God punish you, Adaolisa! You will not know peace." Obiechina. His voice came out sharp and sudden. Everyone stilled. He had never spoken to his mother like that, not once in anyone's memory. He walked down the steps slowly and stood between his mother and his wife, and he looked exhausted in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. Enough. Ngwachume stared at him. "Obiechina, I said enough." He found Adaolisa in the bedroom an hour later. She was packing a suitcase, not everything, just enough. Her movements were quiet and organized, the way she did everything. He stood in the doorway. "Where are you going?" he asked. "Somewhere quiet for a while." Adaolisa. His voice broke on her name, just slightly, just enough. "I know I failed you. I know that I stood there and I let it go too far, and I told myself I was keeping peace when what I was actually doing was choosing comfort over you. I know that." She stopped folding. She did not turn around. "I kept thinking you were strong enough to handle it, that you did not need me to fight for you because you could always fight for yourself, and I used your strength as an excuse to be weak." He crossed the room and stood behind her, and when he put his hand on her shoulder, she did not pull away, but she did not turn to face him either. I am not asking you to forget everything. I am asking you not to go. She turned around. His eyes were red. She had seen Obiechina cry twice in their marriage, once at his father's burial and once the night she told him the house was finally theirs. She looked at him now and felt the full, complicated weight of loving someone who had disappointed her so completely. You let your mother bring another woman into our home, Obi. I know. You looked at the floor. I know. I cooked and cleaned and paid and kept quiet, and you handed me to them like I was something I could afford to lose. I know. His voice was barely there now. I know, and I am sorry. And I know sorry is not enough, but I do not know what else to say to you right now, except that I am sorry and I love you, and this house means nothing without you in it. She looked at him for a long time. Then she closed her suitcase. Your mother and your sister live today, she said. Ulomaka lives today. Not tomorrow, today. Yes. And we talk properly with nobody else in this house, just us. Yes. And Obiechina. She stepped close to him, close enough that he could have kissed her, but she tilted her head and looked up at him with eyes that had seen everything and were still deciding. If you ever go quiet on me like that again, if you ever stand in a room while someone disrespects me and find something interesting to look at on the floor, I will not bring a truck this time. I will simply leave and I will not come back. He nodded. He pulled her to him slowly and she let him, her face against his chest, his arms around her, the two of them standing in a half-empty room in a house she had built and almost lost to the same people she had opened her door to. He kissed the top of her head, then her temple. Then she tilted her face up and he kissed her properly, slow and searching and full of everything neither of them had said out loud in months. By 5 p.m., the compound was quiet in a different way. Mbochume and Nedima had packed and loaded back into the Sienna bus. Mbochume did not say goodbye to Adaolisa. She walked past her with her chin raised and her wrapper rustling and got into the bus and faced forward. Nedima dragged her suitcase herself this time. Ulomaka was collected by a relative by noon, still quiet, still looking at the floor, gone as silently as she had arrived. The gate closed. Obiechina and Adaolisa stood in the compound, alone for the first time in weeks. The evening light was coming orange and low across the marble floors through the open front door. The house was partially empty, echoing slightly, but it was theirs again, really theirs, the way it had been in the doorway that first day before the world rushed in. He reached for her hand. She let him take it. If you watch this to the end, drop a comment right now and tell us whose side are you on and where in the world are you watching from. We read every single comment. And if this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to see it, because Adaolisa's strength is a reminder that a woman who knows her worth cannot be replaced. Subscribe if you are new here and hit the like button so this story reaches more people. We will see you in the next one. The house she built never belonged to silence. It belonged to the woman strong enough to speak.